It's funny how anybody can agree that our hearing is one of the most precious assets that we have, and we musicians more than most. But when it comes to caring for our hearing, we're probably the worst at it. We go to loud concerts, we blast music from speakers, or even worse, from earphones. Guitar players crank up their amplifiers. Us drummers bang our drums as loudly as we can, and the list simply goes on. And as a musician and music lover myself, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that. You shouldn't stop going to concerts, enjoying your records, banging your drums, or driving your guitar sound to the fullest. All of those are very important parts of the whole musical experience. But what if I told you that you can protect your hearing and enjoy music to the fullest at the same time? Most people believe that losing hearing is just a natural part of growing older. And there's some truth to that, but on the most part we lose hearing as we age simply because we damaged our ears due to lack of care for many years, and the loss happens little by little, unnoticeable for decades. And when you do notice it, it's because it has become a problem. And let me tell you, once you lose hearing, you cannot recover it. So today is all about sharing with you some good practices and tools that can help you enjoy music for longer. And without further ado, let's get to it. Let me first tell you that I'm no expert on the matter and I won't be approaching this from a medical or scientific perspective. I'm just a guy who doesn't take my hearing for granted and who's trying to do something about it. And if you by any chance has specific knowledge or other suggestions that may help people in this regard, please share them with all of us here in the comments below. Now, first things first, loudness. That's the key to the whole issue here. And even though I don't plan on getting technical at any point of this video, there's a term that we need to know and be aware of, which is decibel. Decibel, in very simple terms, is the unit used to measure the relative loudness of sounds. Just for a bit of reference, a conversation in a moderate loudness would usually go about 60 decibels, a snare drum hit would go around 100, inside of a plane taking off around 105. A live concert can go up to 120 or even more. And now comes the concerning bit. According to the World Health Organization, repeated or long exposure to sounds at or above as little as 80 decibels can cause hearing loss or tinnitus. When you have Iron Maiden blasting from your speakers loud enough to feel like they're playing just beside you, the only thing getting truly blasted is your hearing. So the first suggestion is gonna be the most obvious of all. Just turn it down. For as loud as you push it, you won't make listening to music in your room feel like being at a concert. We got concerts for that, and we will get to the matter of concerts in a while. But for now, simply develop the habit of listening to music at a reasonable level. It doesn't need to be down to a whisper, but it doesn't need to be blasting either. When it comes to pushing the volume up, on the most part it's just a matter of preference. But another common reason for cranking it up is trying to compensate the shitness of bad speakers. When the sound is not as clear as it should, the first instinct we have is to make it louder. So, my suggestion is, invest in good quality speakers. If the music sounds clear enough at low level, that may prevent you from feeling the need of cranking it up, and that's already reason enough to spend some extra bucks in it. And this applies even further to earphones, IEMs, or headphones, because even though they are quieter, you have to keep in mind that loudness is relative to positioning. Yes, IEMs produce way less sound pressure than big speakers, but the pressure they do produce is aimed straight at your ear canal. So in the end, blasting music on in-ears can be even more damaging than on speakers. So once again, invest in good quality equipment that you won't feel the need to push too high. Still on the matter of in-ears, make sure that you're using tips that fit you correctly. Like that, they will isolate you better from external sounds and you won't need to bring the volume up as much. So far, we mostly talked about situations where you have control over the loudness of the sound in question. But what happens when you don't? Concerts, bars, construction sites, fireworks. For all of those and more, that's when earplugs come in. Loudness can't always be avoided, but it can always be minimized with the correct tools. And the ones that I personally use and recommend are the minuendos. And what makes these guys great is that they are lossless earplugs. And what that means is that you can reduce loudness without a loss in sound. Because in theory, you could just cover your ears with your hands or plug in whatever you found lying around into your ears, don't recommend it. And you would get a noticeable reduction in loudness. But if you do that, you will notice that the sound gets muffled. And the higher frequencies are the first to go, and you're left with a very unbalanced sound. And these earplugs solve exactly that. They can provide from 7 all the way to 25 decibels reduction. And the cool thing about them is this lever. When you have it open, it provides lossless reduction, and if you feel the need to reduce the loudness even harder, you can close the lever in varied degrees that will provide even more ear protection. But keep in mind that the more you close it, the more you will begin to cut frequencies and change the sound of what you hear. But I'll tell you from experience that unless you're dealing with something particularly extreme, you should be able to get away with having them open. But it's nice to have the option of blocking even more when needed. Once again, using proper tips is crucial because the tips and the way that it fits into your ear that will make sure that you're isolated correctly. These guys come with a range of different tips on different sizes. One of them will be the perfect one for you, so I suggest you try out the sizes and use whatever has the best fit. The ones with more prongs are the ones that offer the most isolation, but they end up being a little bit less comfortable, so you can swap them depending on your needs and the occasion. I used to hate the idea of wearing earplugs, simply because of how muffled they make everything. The idea of wearing earplugs at a bar, for instance, was simply inconceivable. But I've worn these guys to gyms, to bars, to concerts, and since they don't affect the sound the same way as regular ones do, I don't mind it, because I don't think they get in the way of you being able to have conversations or enjoy music. And even though I appreciate quite a lot everything that I already shared with you, you must know that for me as a drummer, the main use for these guys is fairly obvious, isn't it? Because especially for us musicians, the fact that you can lower loudness without losing sound is simply game-changing. A guitar player can wear them and dial his tone without questioning whether it sounds bad because of the earplugs or simply because he sucks at tone crafting. I can wear them for a live gig or while tuning my drums for a recording. It's simply amazing. And while we're on the topic of recording, that's one of the scenarios where musicians are exposed to the most dangerous levels of sound. You think a stage is loud? Try the roaring sound of a guitar cabinet in a confined environment, or having a click blasting into your ears while you record drums. Since by concept a metronome needs to cut through the rest of the sounds so you can follow it, it always ends up being a very pinpointed and aggressive sound, and usually very loud as well. So the first thing to do is trying to get used to following a metronome at a lower volume. Or even better, skipping the click altogether. And no, I'm not telling you to record without a metronome, because luckily nowadays we simply have better alternatives for it. This may not look like it, but this is a metronome. But rather than making sound, it vibrates. So with this, you can still keep track of the tempo, but now without a click piercing your ears. And when it comes to recording with it, we produced a video that explains in detail exactly how you can hook this device to your recording software. We used Logic, but it should work on others as well, and it can follow the tempo of your project. And it works even if your music has tempo or time signature changes. The link for that video should be somewhere around the screen. Just a quick moment of disclosure, this particular unit of the Minuendos was sent to me by Soundbrenner. But just so you know, we already had one unit of the Minuendos here in the studio that we bought and paid for. And all of the opinions that you're hearing here in this video is because I've used it and I liked it. And I have used it and liked it even before they sent me one. And the very same applies to the Soundbrenners as well. But this partnership with Soundbrenner is good news for you too, because that means that you can use the affiliate link below to get any of their products with a special discount. And by doing so, you're also helping the channel. So, these are the good practice and tools that I incorporated into my life to preserve my hearing. Music is a huge part of my life, and honestly, I can't imagine how bad it would be to lose the ability to enjoy it. So I hope you got something of value out of this video, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, do the whole shebang, because like that you can be notified whenever we publish more videos like this one. And also, if you want to help us even further, you can listen to our music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also you can follow us on social media such as X or Instagram, where we can be in touch. With that said, the only thing left is never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I'll see you when I see you.